England is the only country in the constituent nations that has never had a national referendum of its own. And the survey showed that 49% of the English, 49% wanted to end the union. One thing that people should understand is there is a parallel between Remainers that wanted to be governed by Brussels and wanted to be part of that European Union, and people who believe, who are a minority, that they are British, because they still want to be controlled. And the arguments for Remainers and the British are exactly the same. You just mentioned the referendum in Scotland. England is the only country in the constituent nations that has never had a national referendum of its own. And there was a survey done, and the survey showed that 49% of the English, 49% wanted to end the union. And that's why they're terrified of us. And they're terrified of a pure English, let's get this done, let's move away. And by the way, people listening to this must remember, that doesn't mean that the monarchy goes. You revert back to the union, what's known as the Union of the Crowns in 1603. You're still part of the Commonwealth, but you haven't got a political union anymore. The British regime is gone, and so is the bureaucracy, and you would return to a distributed governance system. But just let me add this. Nigel Farage, if he really believed that he didn't want to be part of the European Union, all he had to do was go up to Scotland and help persuade them to leave the Union. He didn't. He did the reverse. And if Scotland had voted to leave the Union, we would have been out of the European Union, no deal, out of the Union. That means void the European Communities Act of 1972, and everyone would have been out of it. We would have been going back to our original formation as a brotherhood of nations of 1603. So the other brief one, I just want to say this to people. Again, I've said about Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, and even Cornwall, to be fair. Nations should, the number one human right is self-determination globally. Indigenous populations globally have rights, and so do the English. But let me just say this. When people say that the English in particular are racist, we're the people who stopped the slaves. We was the ones who freed the slaves, not the British. The British wanted to carry on. Wilberforce, it took 20 consecutive years before Wilberforce finally passed the Abolition Act. We'd already stopped it with the common law of England.